Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome episode of MD Power Hour, starring all the way from the United Kingdom, Sir King Giles Tiger Thomas, and
Ron,
me, Ron Harris. Yes.
Ron, I'm having a really bad day. Do you know why?
Is there some Batman sequel coming out or something? I don't know what.
There is actually, and
Oh,
apparently they've got Clayface as the villain. And I'm thinking, well, how does that work in like a real life situation? This big thing creature made out of clay, because it's supposed to be grounded in reality. So I don't know. I think it's just going to be a guy with a bad skin condition.
Clayface.
But no, I'm having a bad day. In a rush this morning to get ready for this, I ripped my favorite tiger socks.
Oh no, Tiger socks?
I tore them, mate. I tore them.
Can't
And that was
can't
was
Lauren sew them back together or something? I don't know.
well, like all my training tops, a little pile of them that she needs to sew back together. Because it's funny, when I used to I only used to like wearing my baggies when I was a teenager when they were torn, and I used to hold them together with safety pins.
Well,
My
and
dad
where? Like all over the place?
all over the place, and there was
Oh,
one. There's a hole in the crutch, and you always make sure you definitely wear underwear, especially when you're squatting.
yep. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not ass to the grass; it's balls to the floor.
I have a lot of workout gear where the pants or the shorts have holes in the crotch. That seems to be the area that gets stressed and ripped and torn the most. So,
Well, there's
yeah.
not a lot of room down there, is there, mate?
Well, there's plenty of room. My balls are about that big, so it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. So, I wanted
Training
to get.
hard.
I wanted to talk this. I wanted to take the chance to talk about something that's been a huge topic, not only in the bodybuilding world, but I've seen it cross over into mainstream news outlets and reports, largely thanks to Joey Swoll, and I don't know his real last name, but he goes by SWOLL, Joey Swoll. Very big on Instagram, TikTok, all that crap. It's filming in gyms. So this was something that was not an issue when I was a youngster, but we did have video cameras. They were about this big. You had to put a giant tape in them. It was a different area. I never saw anybody bring a video camera to the gym back in those days. If you wanted to even take a picture, we didn't, I think we were just starting to get cell phones, but they didn't take pictures or anything. So this is something that's more of a Gen Z, the Generation Z, the youngsters now, the ones in their teens and early 20s, they record everything. It's quite a phenomenon. I think it's only since TikTok became a big thing a couple of years ago. This really ramped up, especially with the women. YouTube, a lot of people do it for their YouTube channels. It's content creators because now everybody wants to be a star, a fitness star. You'll see people in these videos that look like they've just started working out, especially a lot of women. There's no muscle. There's nothing spectacular about their build, but maybe they got a pretty face and they're not obese or anything. They look like they could be somewhat fit. But it's become a problem because they're doing this in public gyms. They're setting up tripods. They're filming every set, and they have this sense of entitlement. A lot of them that you have to be cognizant and cautious of their filming. Don't ever walk in front of their camera. Don't walk in back of their shot. Don't ruin their filming as if that's the priority. When these are not private gyms that they own themselves. They pay their money. And I know you've got stories. You got this great bench press story from a couple of years back. But
Yeah.
first of all, when did you start seeing this happen over in UK?
Well, I'm very lucky in the respect that the two gyms I've trained at, Derek, my producer, he's a sometime producer, and my friend who helped me set the studio up, Derek Clark, but a great bodybuilder. His kind of gym was like, it was like Temple Gym too. He actually copied some of the equipment. He actually had the old pullover, the big beast calf raise. Dorian Yates' training partner Billy Payne owned it and bought the pieces so basically a really dusty old kind of cool hardcore gym. I would train at a time when there was nobody in, so like if it shut at 9, I'd get in at 8 o'clock when pretty much the last people were leaving, and I would try and train when it was absolutely quiet, especially on a Friday night when I do arms and I have the gym to myself, and then I go and speak to Derek afterwards. It was wonderful. So maybe 2-3 people in the gym at a time. But I used to on the weekends sometimes go to a gym in Leeds. I won't say the name because I don't want to seem I'm disrespecting it or whatever. And that was one of the reasons I stopped training there, because there was it's a fantastic gym. I used to like the leg equipment there on a Saturday morning, and it just bugged me the kind of way that that the people were it was starting to creep in. So I actually decided to stop training there. And then I stopped training altogether completely 2021, 22. And then I started back last March properly. And I train at a gym now called Legends Gym. And two lads have kind of taken it over. And it's a really, I took Samson there last year, and it was before they'd actually upgraded all the equipment. He absolutely loved it. So it was good enough for Samson Dowder. It's good enough for me. Yeah, and I do see it a little bit. There was a couple of times it's happened, but for me, it's not even noticeable. But basically my point is I deliberately avoid those kinds of gyms because I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, you can actually avoid this by and large. But yeah, it really effing irritates me actually. And it's something that, I don't know, I kind of, thing is, things always change. Gyms change. The reason why people goes to the gym, that changes. It evolves. And yes, I try not to moan about every single new little thing and talk about the good old days when we were all training hard and heavy on free weights and we weren't. You're giving the eye roll. I know exactly what you mean, but I deliberately, actively avoid it by the time I train and also the type of gym I train at. So. But yeah, so what's your question? When did it start?
Yes, that was my question. But now I want to get into, should this be allowed? Because gyms they're not public spaces. It's not like a public park. They're privately owned. They can set rules. Any gym can say there's no filming allowed, and then there's no filming allowed. And a big chain gym here, was it LA Fitness? I think it was LA Fitness, or was it Planet Fitness? One of them just banned filming completely because they were getting so many complaints. Because people would be harassed by these, let's call them content creators, I guess. They're producing content for somebody.
Yeah.
They're being harassed and harangued for you just ruined my shot, you're in my video. Or sometimes they're in the locker room posing and somebody's in the back changing this, they don't want their bare ass on TikTok or YouTube or anything. That's total violation. You can't film in a changing room, a bathroom.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
That's like a lawsuit waiting to happen. And it's getting to the point where people are starting to question, should this be banned? Let's look at what are the legitimate reasons in your mind. What are some valid reasons why somebody would be filming in the gym or should be allowed to film in a gym?
I don't really have a huge amount of problem with it if it's not that noticeable. But if you go to a gym and there's like a dozen in there and it's a busy gym, then yeah, it kind of can be a problem. But I don't think you can ban it. I think really you need to lay the groundwork and not just the rules, but the etiquette. Because I think now that's something that this is actually a part of the problem of, is that there's a lack of gym etiquette. Like I was training a few weeks ago and there was these three young lads and I was doing some curls on this one of those seated curl machines. And this one lad just kept jumping on when I was training. He didn't ask if he could work in. And then I didn't mind. I thought, okay, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of this because I'm resting between my set. And then I think on my third set, I went over and he jumped on, and then I was annoyed. So sometimes I think you can sort of let things slide. But if someone starts kicking off because you're in their shot, then yeah, that's when you need to have rules and say, look, if you're gonna film, don't complain if somebody walks in your shot or somebody's in the background, because it's not a freaking studio, it's a gym. In fact, I think the thing that actually irritates me more than people filming, because like I said, it's not been an issue for me because there's not a lot of people that do that in my gym or anywhere I train, is the just cell phones on the gym floor. Yeah. Because like you can see in the free weights area, you've got the bottle of water in their belt and everything, and then on the floor, literally where the front of the dumbbell rack, you'll see people with their mobile phones on the floor. Now, a lot of people use mobile phones for music. They'll have their earbuds in. I don't. I've got an old school. In fact, Cara from Angel Competition Bikinis, when we did the Ashley tour, she took the piss out of she goes, "Oh my God, you're proper old school." And I thought I was cutting edge by having this iPod that I've had since I think probably 2009, 2010. Yeah. I still think it's really advanced. At its time, it was like, wow, 1,000 songs in your pocket, like was it Steve Jobs or whatever. Was it not the guy who created them, whatever, the Apple guy? Yeah. And but I think that irritates me a lot is when people, because at the end of the day, if I'm say I'm doing dumbbells and I put the dumbbells down and it lands, or I don't throw my dumbbells, but if it rolls and I smash somebody's £1,000 iPhone, then I've heard stories of people saying, you're gonna have to pay that. You're gonna have to pay for that. You've damaged my phone. It's like, look, you should never, like I've never once, ever, hang on, I'm gonna think, I don't wanna lie. Well, I've never knowingly, not knowing, how can I word this? Okay. rule of thumb, I never take my phone on the gym floor. I use an iPod. I don't use it for music. I could use it for music, but for me, I think a phone has no place on the gym floor. And that's basically how it all started, people using phones to film. And I don't have a problem with that. But I think the step up from phone to tripod, camera equipment, microphones, I think then it's taken up a step. And the thing is that a tripod takes up a lot of space. And some gyms, there's a lot of equipment. There's people, you don't want to be tripping over equipment. It's like my studio. Like I have to walk around so carefully. I remember when I had Zach Khan in, and bloody hell, he nearly brought the whole studio down because I said to him, and Jamie, like Jamie and Zach, they're like another level of big. And actually, you know where the guest sits. Like I opened those curtains and I actually slid the studio doors open, and I made them, when they wanted to go to the toilet, I made them go outside at the back, walk around and come if they wanted to go to the toilet. Because if someone like Zach or Jamie the Giant walked the way through, like there are so many wires, there's so much equipment. Literally the whole studio could be destroyed. And Zach's traps as he was leaving, like he accidentally pulled something. And then, I said, "Oh, can you just straighten the boom arm, the mic arm, And I heard this crack, and I was like, "Oh, Jesus." So anyway, what was my point? The size of the equipment, I think, like tripod, I think that's another level, isn't it? That's something that really is. And I think now, like I said, people are using mics, and I mean these small mics. I don't have any problem with that, but I think it's as long as people can coexist, and they don't get uppity. Like if someone like that guy when he was benching a plate for his IG live, like he says, "Oh, come on, man," and I just looked at him and I just went, "Don't even freaking try." I was like, "Really?" I just didn't even acknowledge him. I didn't apologize because I felt like I had nothing to apologize for. But I think the whole tripod thing, I think that's a step too far. And like I said, if they can't learn to sort of play nice with others, then get the hell out of there, or go and train at 4 a.m. when no one's there. If the gym's open if it's a 24-hour gym, go and train when no one's there, and then you're not bothering anyone.
So getting back to the reasons people tape themselves or film themselves or stream, you'll hear things like, "Well, I'm checking my form," or "I'm trying to inspire others," and maybe that's true in some cases, but I do believe in the vast majority, they're looking for attention, validation, clicks, views, followers, likes. It's really just for their own, ego satisfaction. And I honestly think a lot of these people, I don't know, I'm not going to throw out a percentage or anything, if they couldn't film in their video in the gyms and post these things online, they wouldn't even train, because there'd be no sense of validity. They need that little pat on the back every day, like, "Great job." Because you'll see some people put every set. You'll look in the Instagram stories, and there'll be a long line if it's just one story. But if there's a lot of stories, like got on the top. And I've seen people where it's an entire leg workout or an entire back workout. Each set is a story. So there'll be 30, 40 stories from one. Yes.
Really?
And they do music and captions, and here's, hip thrust, 400 pounds times 8 reps. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to take away anyone's joy, or if this is what really motivates you to go to the gym and get in shape, and if we take that away from you, then you're not going to. I'm all for physical fitness and people getting in gyms, because the world, especially USA, has become so sedentary, and we have a huge obesity problem. So I'm torn, because I don't want to discourage anyone from something that's going to maybe take away their reason for training, or a big feeling of satisfaction to get from training is to get those compliments and those little boosts from people saying, "Great set, great job, keep up the great work, you're looking good," this and that. But at the same time, because I'm old, I'm 53. I come from an era where, I did it for vanity, 100% cosmetic. I want to look good and all that, but I didn't have that technology available to me where I could broadcast what I was doing to the world. And to be 100% honest, I bet if I was 22 years old now, I would be doing the same thing as these kids. I would be filming and putting all kinds of crap and posing, and here's my 1,000-pound presses. And so I'm trying not to be judgmental here, but it does get kind of annoying to see someone doing everything. Like you said, that the young man that you were talking about, it was a 135-pound bench press.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing special.
I got no problem with someone doing that. I got no issues, but it was the fact that he had a problem with me walking through the gym, and I got in his shot, and I just thought, I just thought, if you didn't say anything, we'd have no issue, and that really irked me. And then I was irritated for the rest of my workout. I was like, because like when I'm at the gym, I can be. I mean, if you see me on the gym floor, I can be very standoffish. I've been told I'm very quite. Get my headphones on, and I'm in my own little world, and I'm completely like you probably think I'm a bit mental. But I like it's my time. I like to train. I train by myself. I train at the gym when it's quiet. I trained last night, and I think I was one or two other people in, and I'm so happy when it's like that. Because then you don't feel self-conscious. But I think yeah, I just and also another thing is like I don't want to be in someone's video shot. I don't want to be in it. I mean, I don't. Like I remember I was doing some photos once when Neil Hill came up to the gym I was training at in Newcastle. And Zach came up with him. Zach Khan drove up from Sheffield because Neil was up staying with a friend of mine that owned the gym that was prepping, and he was prepping this guy. Neil was prepping this guy. So I trained with Neil in the morning. We did arms, and then afterwards, I did some photographs of Zach training with Neil. And the gym was pretty quiet. I was just doing photos with literally like one of those instant cameras. It was like a normal 35mm camera. 2009 it was, I think. Yeah, 2009. And then one of the guys in the background, he went, whoa, whoa, whoa. He says, I don't want to be in your shots. I said, what do you mean? I said, why have OK Magazine got the rights? And he didn't find that very funny. He goes, no, I don't want to be in your shots. And it's like, but he had a point. It's like, what if someone doesn't want to be like seen, or, it's like people want to be private in the gym. I don't want to be, I'm not saying that the people want to film me, but I don't really want to be in people's shots. I don't want that going out. Cause like, I remember AJ once we were in the gym and we were training arms, and he started filming me doing triceps. And I went, stop. He went, what? He says, for Instagram, bro. And I went, no, I don't want you to film me. I don't like being filmed. It's just how I like things, so, but the thing is, like I said, in gyms, you're going to be catching a lot of other people. But I think when it comes to if you're a pro, like someone like Sean Clarida, I mean, he documents all his workouts, and I find that Charles Griffin, Sean Clarida, I'm trying to think, Justin Shire, I love watching his videos because I love his form, his technique. His technique is beautiful. I like seeing those,
Joe Mackey's been like hack squatting and deadlifting 1 billion pounds lately.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. But like, some of these guys, you just think, I mean, no disrespect. It's like you're an influencer. I don't know who you're influencing because you barely look like you train. And I just think, like, who are you actually? Like I said, personally, I've never needed that validation. I've never needed that, like I used to have my little notepads and it would go in my gym bag and it would record my lifts. And, I didn't publish that anywhere. I just thought, well, for one thing, I thought no one's going to give a shit. And this was before social media. So I don't know whether, I don't know. I just think, who are you actually, like, I mean, like sometimes, just to remind people that I did compete and I am a bodybuilder. I do sometimes post occasionally the odd physique picture, but apart from that, I've never posted anything from training.
Your hand on hip, most muscular. That was your best one.
Yeah, no, but I do it because like sometimes you'll get people like calling me a meatball head, saying, "Who is this guy? Does he even train?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I did 14 shows. I won a few, and I've competed in Britons and Europeans and stuff like that. And but I just do it as a reminder, just to kind of just every now and again, I'll dig out those old pics,
So now we go to the next level of the filming their workouts. That's fine. I really don't have a huge problem with that. If that, you can unfollow anybody you want to. You don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
But a lot of these influencers, especially females, have gone a step further. They shame people for walking through their shots. They post up videos and they'll freeze frame the video, circle the person's face, go, this idiot walked in front of my shot or ruined my shot. Then, it's this Joey Swole has made many, many videos about it. They'll call out. They publicly shame people for ruining their shot, even though it's a public gym. And then, worse than that, this was all over the news. This became a worldwide thing. Where these women who they believe men are creeps and they're staring at them. And you saw that one girl saying "feral, feral, feral." That's probably the most famous example. They shame men who they think are staring at them. And there was one case where the man was actually blind. He complained to the manager that this guy's staring at me. And the guy's not just legally blind. He was like, full on 100% blind. And And the guy said, like, I wasn't staring. I don't know where I'm looking. I'm blind. And they said, well, the manager told him you're still making people uncomfortable. So I think
Oh,
that guy's got a great lawsuit if he doesn't already have one in the works. He
oh,
should.
see, that Ron, that's hearing that sort of thing really makes me sad. Actually, that's really bad because like the one place I don't want attention, or like I said, I'm just using myself as an example. One place I don't want any attention. I don't want anyone looking at me or anything. Is at the gym. I want it. It's a solitary thing. So for these people just looking for like the thing is. Like, answer me honestly now. When was the last time you felt like Sean Clarida? I'll watch his videos. I will watch them because I like seeing his technique. Okay, he's pressing 180s, but what's his form like? What's his range of motion like? And sometimes, okay, I'll ask you, when was the last time you learned something from one of these bodybuilders or influencers or whatever on your Instagram feed? When was the last time you actually felt like you actually learned something and you implemented it on your own training?
Maybe a year or two ago, I might have seen something that sometimes I'll just see something that either I haven't used or done in a long time, and I forgot about, or I'll get an idea, but no, I'm not often. The last person that I found very educational in videos was the late John Meadows. Loved
Yeah,
his stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, we're not seeing that level of expertise and instruction going on here.
So,
But
so what? Sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
What sort of message would you like to put out there? What would you like to see happen if you could slightly alter things with what's going on right now? What would you say? What would you advise? What would you say? Okay, look, guys, if you want us to look at all your stuff, and you want us to like tolerate you in gyms and not have any issues and not, or tensions, what would you like to see happen?
so I think all gyms that allow filming, which would still be most of them, should have a list of rules, like you said. One of the rules would be, you must not interfere with other members' training.
Yeah.
This is not your private gym. You
Mhm.
can't monopolize a whole area, which some of them do. And another thing, you can't put anyone in your video without their consent.
That's it.
And
That's the one.
and if you publicly try to shame someone for looking at you or ruining your shot, you post that, your membership should be revoked.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to get into a whole gender war here, but a lot of these women who are complaining that men look at them, they go to the gym with barely anything on, little tiny shorts with half their glutes showing on the bottom, little crop top, belly out, lots of flesh. Men are very visual creatures. We're like if
They're
you're
courting
walking,
the attention. They're courting the attention, and then they want to have the right to complain about it and shame those men. It's like, really? Like, let's look at the cause and effect here. Let's look at the root cause of why these people are looking at you. Sorry.
they want attention because that's what followers are. That's what likes are. That's what views are. That's attention. That's eyes on you. They want that online, but for some reason in real life, maybe in a gym, if a man glances over, and here's the thing: what does a woman in a gym consider a creep, Giles? It's a legitimate question. What do you think the answer is?
What do you mean? Sorry.
What is a woman in a gym? What does she consider a creep?
Well, a
What
guy
man?
that ogles her and looks at her.
It's a guy that ogles her who's not gorgeous. If a
Yeah.
guy's very very attractive,
Uh,
there's a handful of guys it's a very big gym. There's a handful of guys that all the women love. Most of them are tall, tattooed, jacked, bad boys, jaws like freaking Henry Cavill. And the women love when these guys look at them. They want them. They're always, I see them glancing like, I hope he's looking at me. But they don't want other guys. They don't want the old creepy guys looking at them. But
yeah.
when you're putting yourself on display, you can't choose who's going to look at you. And you can't complain if somebody looks at you who you don't want looking. Now, I have to amend that. Nobody should be staring and leering at a woman. I 100% agree with that. I have a wife. I have a daughter. I would not want some man sitting there with his tongue out looking like, I want to bang that. That's different.
That one gym in where I was training, I used to train legs out on a Saturday. I don't train there anymore. Up on the screens, they've got a really nicely made video, and the gym owner has done a video of like 10 rules. He's actually done it, 10 rules. And most of them, like, wipe down the equipment if it's sweaty. Like last night, I was doing decline bench, and there was like head sweat. And I was just like, so I had to do it with my head lifted off the bench as I was pressing. It was disgusting. And it's not even hot. I'm thinking, how do you even get sweat? It's bloody 6 degrees here. And one of the rules was, which I found I'm not sure how I feel about it, was that don't make eye contact with women.
Oh, wow.
He said, guys, do not make eye contact with women. And I thought that for me was a step a little bit too far. And I'm not sure how I feel about that one. What's your feelings on that, Ron?
Again, I'm trying to see it from both sides. I'm a man and I love to look at women, but I know I have to be I have to be respectful because the climate we're in today, and I agree, I don't think any man should be leering at a woman, but there's a very big difference between staring at a woman with lust like a dog and just glancing over, and especially attractive women. We can't, we are visual creatures, men. We're hardwired to look at beautiful young women. There's nothing. If a group of women walk by, you tell me there's a man in the world, it's not going to be like, huh? We can't help it. It's like when I walk my dog and a squirrel runs, he looks at the squirrel. If a bird, he looks at the bird. He can't help it. That's just his instinct. And as men, that is our instinct. We're going to look. Now we're in control. Eye contact, that's a tricky thing. Yeah. Because it does make a lot of women uncomfortable now to be looked at in the eye by a man, unless it's a man that they really want to look at them.
You can be in between sets and you're just scanning like mindlessly across the gym, and you look at you got to look at something and just see your eyes actually catch. I mean, if it's split second, I don't see how anyone could have issue with that. I mean, would you go running to the gym counter and say, that guy stared at me? But I suppose if you're really, really staring at, the thing is, if you're really, really staring at a woman, other people will see that. Other people will pick up on that and they'll be like, do you know what I mean? So I don't think that's really, I don't know. Like I train in gyms where there's no women. I mean, I love it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's why Flex Wheeler was never able to beat Dorian, because he trained in Gold's Gym and it was full of women and all these, like, honestly, like hanging out with rappers. And I just think Dorian was onto something training in that shithole. Do you know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, what's the one thing that can derail anyone from their goals? It's distraction. Like, honestly, my life and everything just went to another level in terms of focus and work ethic and my life generally when I moved to the countryside. Because I tell you what, I don't deal well with distraction. When I lived up in Newcastle in a city, in those busy gyms and stuff like that, it's like there's distraction everywhere. And like you said, men are visual creatures, So I think eye contact was a little bit too far personally, but I just think, I think it's not even a fine line. It's quite a big line between just catching your eye with someone and like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the Flex Wheeler thing, because he did a video, one of his it might have been his first training video, called Hard Body, 1993, as he was training for the 93 Olympia.
Wow.
I was part of the production team for that. We filmed at Gold's Venice. Yeah, I was part of that. I did hit a later video. I did the whole thing myself, but this one I was just part of the crew. And one of the first things when they walked into Gold's, it was him, Rico, and I think Cormier was with them in that one. They were looking around, and someone says, "What are you looking for?" Flex goes, "I'm looking for visuals. I'm looking for hot girls to motivate me." Something like that. I'm like, "Oh no, Dorian's going to eat this guy for lunch," and he did.
That would not happen today with old Me Too and all that. I mean, it's done quite rightly so, though. I mean, obviously, it was probably like a jokey thing that he said. It was like but I don't know. I think, you can see why some of these guys run into trouble full of tests and in these gyms, all the girls, sweaty girls. And, I mean, it's, that's why, I love training these old, dusty, old hardcore gyms. I mean, my gym now is really nice. They've really upgraded the equipment. It's fantastic in there now. But, it's, there's certainly no distractions in there.
Yeah, I'd like to say the same, but my gym, Bayshore Athletic Club in Weymouth, Massachusetts. I'm sorry, Braintree, Massachusetts. Don't kill me, Tim. A lot of young girls, a lot of them film themselves. There's a lot of squatting, a lot of deadlifting, a lot of hip thrusting. They all train legs and glutes like every day, and a lot of them have the tripods going. I do my very best because I'm old enough to be I am old enough to be all of their fathers, probably some of their grandfathers.
Grandfather, yeah.
I have to be extra careful not to be the creepy old guy, and I do my best.
Once you're labeled as that, especially in a gym where word spreads, it's like, even if somebody says it as a joke, that's really worrying. I remember one there was a backstage guy and he made a joke and he said something, and I went out to him and I went, "Mate," I said, "Why did you say that?" And he goes, "Just the first thing that popped into my head." I said, "Mate, if that catches on to somebody," I said, this is my profession. I said, I'm at these gym, I'm wearing a suit, I'm here professionally, especially when you're backstage, when there's women, like somebody's backstage, you walk through one room and it's like, oh shit, that's full of women. It's like, I don't want to be labeled as anything that's like a little bit, that's seen as, well, certainly seen as unprofessional,
Right.
because it's like, I mean, like I was said to Lauren, I said, whether I'm single or whether I'm with someone, I conduct myself exactly the same at events, because I don't want to be, it really makes me cringe to be labeled or to be viewed, perceived as something that is not, that shows that maybe you're abusing your privilege and your sort of your position. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you and I see it a lot. You won't mention names, but let's just say we see it a lot of events. And to be honest, it makes me think a lot less of these people.
Oh, I've totally, there's people in the industry that I lost respect for after I saw them doing that, where they were clearly using their influence. Some guy who's physically repulsive, and he's got these hot young competitors talking to him, or whatever the case may be. I won't even go into it anymore.
Gross,
I know
Gross.
exactly what you mean. It's cringy. It's just so cringy.
And it's so the thing is, Ron, it's so obvious. Like I would never want to be with or have a girl around me that was like, really, really above my, and I'm sure people say that about me and Lauren, but we've been together 3 years and we're very happy. But
you're a dashing gent, Giles. What are you saying? Look at you.
No,
Jason,
but
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. Jason. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I just sorry. How did we get onto the subject? Hang on. Sorry.
Okay. I want to change subjects anyway.
Come on, Ron. Let's do it.
Let's power on. So last episode of MD Global Muscle, you had round 2 with Milo Sarshev, because we had him on Power Hour before that. You guys got into it. Pretty heated discussion about the Arnold Classic and this and that. But you guys did an entire interview where we're basically talking about conditioning, dryness, diuretic use, the dangers. Milos told some stories I had never heard before. One of them where he saved Mustafa Muhammad's life twice in 2 weeks, I think it was.
Yeah.
He kept paramedics would have killed him by administering potassium, and Milos saved him not once but twice.
Yeah.
And it begs the question that you tried to answer. There's no real answer to this, but once we have established that this is the ideal, the ultimate standard and condition, dryness. So not just getting all the body fat off, which is very difficult in itself, take away all the body fat. Now you use diuretics for that finishing touch to suck out that last bit of subcutaneous water and reveal details that you just couldn't even see with the body fat gone. Now you've gone to that highest possible level. But to do that, it's not achievable for most people without pharmaceutical diuretics. Very, very dangerous. A lot of people, especially athletes and a lot of coaches, they're not well versed in the different types of diuretics, half-lives, interactions with other drugs and minerals. So it's a recipe for disaster. This is where people have died. Steroids have not killed anybody immediately in bodybuilding. Diuretics have killed more than a few people on contest day before a contest, day after the contest. They're the deadliest thing in bodybuilding because they have that potential. So the question that you guys tackled was, what do we do about it? Can we say the judge is okay? Well, we can't reward that look anymore because it's too dangerous. But you quoted me as an example. If we have Samson Dauda and his twin up on stage at the Arnold Classic, they look exactly the same. One of them looks like the Samson that won the Arnold, but the other one is fully dried out. Little tiny fibers everywhere that you couldn't see because Samson didn't have that extra 5 or 10%, whatever it was, dryness. I would give it to that guy who's drier just because. What do I say? Well, it's not healthy. We can't let the guy who doesn't look healthy win. What do you do? I mean, let's talk about what do you do? How do we do anything to ameliorate the situation?
Sadly, I do think we're fighting a losing battle because yes, I did have the conversation with Milos. Milos, let's talk about it further. And I pretty much, I'm not being cynical, but I knew we wouldn't find a solution. But like Milos said, he said we've got to have conversations, and like really, I think that's all we can do right now because until the judges, I mean, they didn't go with Samson because he wasn't the driest, and they're trying to place guys like that. That's the mood, the changes they're trying to make. It's because he had enough of everything else. His symmetry, his physique was so good. over, in a list of bullet points, the eye drew their eye more than the other guys like Nick Walker. And he just had a better physique on the day. But it's not like they're trying to go in a different direction with aesthetics or less conditioning. It's just that was just how he looked on the day. Like when Sean Roden won the Olympia in 2018, it's just that was the best physique on the day, decided by the judges. They're not trying to go move it in a different direction. That's bullshit. So, I don't know what we can do really, because I like conditioning, and it was really hard for me to. But the thing is, hearing those stories, I mean, they were horror stories. The stories about Mohamed Benaziza, Mustafa Mohamed, Paul Dillette, Milos saying his physique locked up. I told my story about the one time I did take diuretics. I mean, luckily I managed to get. I mean, look. I got that without. Hang on, can you see it? Like, I managed to get that conditioning without diuretics. I just used Solgar water formula, the Ursine Juniper, vitamin C over 6-7 days, B6, potassium, and I just managed it. The thing is, though, one thing I have learned, it's easier for the guys to get conditioned who don't have a huge amount of muscle, which I didn't. I think when you got someone like nearly 300 pounds, trying to get the combination of dryness to fullness, because like I said to Milos, I said, like Samson, I said, if you push him too far on the dehydration or the diuretics or whatever, like he could lose 10 pounds and that's it. He's lost the show. He's lost that fullness. Like Andrew Jack, like he did on the Friday. He looked perfect on the Friday. And then the next day, he just like Bob said last week, he said his conditioning and his fullness just went. I mean, he just, he couldn't put the brakes on, and he didn't look very good on day 2. And that's why he got knocked down to 3rd, because like I said, I did have him winning on the first day, but we won't go there. I don't know what we can do really, because it's, until the judges really start to, I think really the guys have just got to bring such good physiques that, the sum total of all their attributes is more than the guy next to them. So, because like for me, I've seen Hadi and Derek Lunsford in better condition, and they're the 1 and 2 at the moment. Like I said, we had Akeem, Brandon Curry, Keon Pearson, and their physiques were so good on the day. They were, when compared to the other guys, they were deemed to have the best physique on the day, regardless of the fact they weren't in their best condition. I think if their conditioning had been bang on, I think their win actually, sadly, would have been more more clear, but I think really you just got to bring such a good physique that they can't deny you. But I do feel for the guys like now, obviously people, I mean, it's not like people will say it. People have said to me, Milos is only saying that because Samson won't be the hardest guy on stage, and he's trying to build a campaign for his guy to win the Olympia. And I get that. Yeah. But when you hear those stories from Milos, it really, and like their first-hand accounts of literally him pleading with paramedics, do not give this guy potassium. He will kill him, and full well they're going to, so he has to ride in the ambulance with them. And then people start thinking that Milos has nearly killed Mustafa Ahmed because he's coaching him. And then he says, no, I'm not his coach. It's like, it's tricky. It's a real tricky situation. But I mean, what the hell do we do apart from just have conversations, Ron?
You really can't, because, they've tried diuretic testing a couple times. Didn't work.
Yeah,
didn't work. I mean, people failed, and then they turned around and tried to sue the federation, saying, "Well, you guys didn't follow IOC protocols 100%." And I think it was Cutler that actually was going to bring a huge lawsuit against him. Yeah. So that's not an option. Testing for diuretics. What do? You educate people more. I mean, a lot of people put their hands in their faith in their coaches 100%, but a coach's job, it should be to keep their clients healthy while they're, but it's not really. Their job is to help them win. That's why you hire somebody. I want to win. Give me advantages over everybody else so that I beat them. That's why I'm paying you thousands of dollars. So I win. I beat all these other guys. And if the coach says, well, we got to take it, we got to be very safe. And if he's being safe and the other coaches aren't being safe and they're doing protocols that are more extreme, and that results in a look that beats their guy, then I guess, at the end of the day, they're not a quote unquote good coach, because coaches are judged by how many wins they get. Hani Rambat is considered the greatest coach in the world. Why? 22 Olympia wins. Did
you hear that Hani didn't use diuretics with Derek Lunsford or Chris Bumstead at the Olympia?
No, but I believe it. Yeah.
But the thing is, people are just going to say he's lying. But I think you've just said it there. You've hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest responsibility lies with the coaches, because nowadays in this era, like in era of people taking tripods to the gym 20 years ago, I mean, aside from the technology, it just wasn't, people didn't do that. Now things have changed. Now you've got coaches, bodybuilders being coached from their first year. So they don't have and some of these guys just blindly follow. You get some, like I've spoke to Patrick Turner. He said you'll get some athletes and they just follow everything to the letter. Like they don't ask a single question. You get other guys who will want to know every single reason why they're doing every single thing on the list. He says, and it's very time consuming. He said, I understand, it's a really smart thing for those athletes to do, because then they become completely reliant on the coach, but they don't know. Like I was bodybuilder once. I was in the change room. He says, "Oh, Giles," he says, "tell me," a big belly, and he says, "Tell me how to get rid of this." I said, "Mate, you competed 3 years ago, probably the most shredded guy in the entire contest. You don't know how to get rid of a big fat stomach." He said, "Yeah, but I had somebody telling me what to do." So he didn't have an opportunity. That's why, like, I'm so glad I always prep myself for these shows, because I can hand on heart know exactly every result I got, good or bad. Physically or with placings, I knew why I got them, and I can take full responsibility, but I know exactly how I achieved that or didn't achieve that. So, but I think with coaches, it's the coach, like you said, they want the wins, they want their athletes to look best, but at the same time, like Milos, he says, I'm conflicted. He said, I'm Eddie Abu, the pro. He said he stopped prepping people completely. He stopped prepping bodybuilders because the bodybuilder said, is there peanuts in this oil or whatever? He says, there are any traces of peanuts? He says, why? And he says, well, if I do that and I inject it, he said, it'll kill me. And he said, and he said after that, he took a step back because he realized, he's like, holy shit, I've got these people's lives in my hand. If I advise him to do something and it's on the list, and and I didn't know about that allergy, say he told me in a text and I didn't read it, and I overlook it, I could literally have blood on my hands. Do you know what I mean? Well, technically, So I think the coaches really, I mean, if someone like Hani Rambod can get guys like Chris Bumstead and Derek Lunsford looking the way they do without diuretics, then I think it just comes down to the integrity and the skill of the coach. But unfortunately, as you know, not all coaches are as good as Hani Rambod. So they will just go, the coaches will just say 2 hours of cardio, 0 carbs, 5 grams of gear. It's just that, just turkey and broccoli 6 times a day. It's like, it's like stupid, bloody, that real idiotic kind of like, yeah, it'll work, but it's probably not the best way to do it. So someone like a Hani Rambod, not everyone's as skilled as someone as him. That's basically my point.
I've said many times the default for a coach who's not very bright or not very educated or experienced, especially when working with women, is you just starve them,
Yeah.
put them on a ton of cardio, get them on a ton of clen, a ton of anavar. Yeah. They'll look pretty good on stage. They'll feel like crap, thyroid meds. And a lot of these women these are the ones that'll post later. I'm in metabolic breakdown and
thyroid damage.
Thyroid's destroyed for life, and I've gained 70 pounds since my show, and I don't know what's going on with me. It's a side effect of this climate where everybody has a coach, everybody feels they need a coach, and when there's a demand, you get that supply. So if everybody needs a coach, because so many people have done one show, or maybe they never even competed, it could be a coach. Yeah, I'll take your money. I'll coach you. I'll prep you for your show.
And the thing is that because there's supply and demand. So like I was talking to like Lewis Breed, and I said, so how are you work? You've got 6 kids with you and your missus. I said, how are you, from 2 different relationships. I said, how are you able to sort of just go to Dubai and train for a few months? He said, well, I do online coaching. And all these athletes I speak to, Amandine Collio had on the other week, she's an online coach. So basically it gives you the freedom to go over. And I'm sure they're very knowledgeable, but some of these aren't. And let's not get even into the subject of coaching females, because that is, you have to be knowledgeable. If you are taking people's money and you're coaching females and you don't have a real knowledge of how women's bodies and hormones and everything work, then you should not have you've got no business being a coach, because I tell you what, it is a lot more complex than a guy. Because like I said, there are so many women that compete. There's thousands of them, but how much turnover? Every year there's such a high turnover. Very few will compete for more than a couple of years. You see them, they pop up and they disappear. And then you might see them at a show 5 years later, and then you hear all these horror stories. I've heard dozens, hundreds about, and you see them and they've blown up in weight and they're all bitter and angry about, oh, I wish I'd never competed and my hair fell out. And, I mean, that's
Their
why.
voice, they have the deep voices that are never going to go back.
They're fertile. They're infertile. I mean, that's why my ex stopped competing. She came out of the back bedroom. And she says, I'm not doing Spain. I said, why? I said, you've got to get a qualification for the Olympia. And she says, no, I'm not doing Spain. She says, my hair's thinning. She says, and there I am thinking about I'm literally about to set up a separate bank account to save money for hair transplants. She said, that is the line. That's where I know I've gone too far. She says, I'm done. And that was it. That was it. Walked away. So a lot of these women will have these moments where, they do that, or they kind of regret it, So I mean, females is a whole different. I mean, that's a whole different. We should get on a female and do it for Power Hour and really talk about, because like there is, especially with a woman. I mean, if you make a woman infertile, if a coach makes a woman infertile, that's awful. That is really
destroyed her permanent ability to ever bear children, which a lot of women do aspire to be mothers. A lot of them, and now you can't be a mom because you had to be in a bikini. You had to take, third place at a local bikini show.
There you go. There you go. I mean, it's probably something that you could interview 100 ladies, that have competed, are competing, think about competing, and I bet we'd really uncover some very uncomfortable stories. But it's a tough one.
I don't know if it's okay to say, but your partner Lauren just made a post today on Instagram that she will no longer be competing in non-tested events. She's only going to do natural events. She's doing beauty pageants. She just won a beauty pageant. Congratulations. Beautiful woman. But maybe she'd be willing to come on and talk about her decision, because drugs, male hormones affect women far more powerfully than they do men because they're male hormones.
But do you know what the problem is with that? It's not actually the fact that they're taking it. It's the fact that the things that women can take are the most faked because they're the most expensive.
Yes.
Primobolan, Anavar. I mean, to be able to sort. And the thing is, most people who sell it to their athletes want to buy it cheap and sell it expensive, so they want to make the margin. So what they're selling them is probably something like I remember one guy used to make fake sharing Primobolan. I knew him many years ago. And he said, oh, Charles, are you using that Primo? And I said, are you using Tren as well? I said, no, I wouldn't take the two together. And he said, oh, good, because I was going to say, he says, because I've got 50 meg of Tren in those Primo amps. I was like, oh, well, thanks for telling me after I've just bought a load off you, So I was going to save them for off season, because the good Primo amps. I was like, yeah, I love these. But it was like, so you give 50 meg of Tren to a woman, and then you watch what happens. I mean, my God, even if it's just one shot a week, So it's not even just the fact that women are taking gear; it's the fact that what they're taking is really, and the cheap ingredients that they'll put in to substitute for those Anavar's cleanse or whatever it is are going to be the ones that are actually the worst for them. So there's a whole new, series of issues that a woman's going to face, and that's, so, it's sad. It's pretty sad.
I would venture to guess that 50% or more of the Anavar tablets in the world are actually D-ball.
D-ball. Yeah, D-ball. It's cheap, isn't it?
That's the cheapest. It's very cheap, very cheap.
I remember when we used to work. I used to work at the supplement company Peak Body, and we used to get emails through from raw material suppliers in China. You get bombarded with all the suppliers when they go through all the list of companies in the UK and whatever, and then they bombard them with emails, and it would be all the vitamins, whey proteins, creatines by the ton, different qualities. With the sort of testing sheets and stuff like that, and then it would get into pro hormones, and then it would get into steroids. And then it'd be literally by the kilo. And it's funny, like the cheapest were like Test Sip, D-Bol, Deca or whatever. And then it would go right. It would be like, say for example, Cypionate's $8,000 a kilo. It's like 20 years ago, $8,000 a kilo. But then you get into Anavar and it's like $30,000 a kilo. So you think if someone's like like manufacturing gear, and they're thinking, right, okay, then, I'll just stick a bit of that in there. It doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same because mostly guys are going to be using it and they're not going to it's not going to be much of a difference. But, you see, and then a woman takes that. I mean, wow, they are really opening themselves up to a whole load of shit.
Boom. All right, let's wrap it up with a little. You're going to be doing an Arnold Brazil preview with Miguel Shane, correct? But
Yeah, don't know when that is. I've got it written down.
but let's talk a little bit about who do we know right now that's going in, because I think you just told me that has Sergio Oliva Jr. already said that he's out of the show.
I believe so. I
Hmm.
believe so. It's not confirmed, but I haven't checked his Instagram. But I imagine if he's making that official, he will do so very soon. If not, and I've got it wrong, I apologize. Because I think we'd all like to see, because we've not seen Sergio on stage since he took third place behind Regan and Sean Clarida at the 2021 Legion Sport. And obviously, but he had that horrible issue where he accidentally knocked that guy off his moped.
Right.
It was purely unlucky. There was no charges brought, and the guy died. So I would imagine if he has pulled out, possibly that's been enough to derail him. So, and I hope he's okay though. If that is the case, I hope he's okay mentally, because I really felt for him when I found that, because that is just one of the worst things, because there's nothing you can learn from it. There's nothing that you can really. There's nothing good that can come from that. It's just a horrible, horrible, unlucky thing to happen. So Sergio, we're not sure. Behruz Tabani for me is the walk away absolute favorite, because I was talking to Milos about him, and Milos said, "You're lucky." He said, "You've seen him in the flesh." He said, "I've not actually seen him in the flesh yet, and I coach him. I saw him twice when he got third behind Samson and Rafael Brandeo at the 2021 Romania Muscle Fest, and in 2022 he won. He beat Brett Wilkin." And I tell you what, I mean, this guy is just. I know I keep raving about him, but this guy is incredible, absolutely incredible. I think
You're a conditioning fan, and the condition Beirut brings is just next level.
beautiful. I still think he needs a bit more quads from the front, like Nick Walker. Really, he needs a little bit more thickness, a little bit more going on. But everything else, I mean, he's top 10 Olympia material. Do you know what I mean? As he is now. So, but they're still struggling to get this visa. So, but I'm hopeful. I know it's bad, but the thing is, if Hadi can get his, then why the hell can't Behruz get his? So I think Milos is working on it. He has spoke to Hani Rambod, and I said to Milos, I said, "Look, why don't you?" Because Hani got Hadi's through Ibergen. They did it as a sponsorship thing, and they went that route. But I said to Milos, I said, "Look, why don't you just put Behruz on the what's it called, on the payroll, whatever, on the the list of as a sponsored athlete, and do it through your JYM with Jim Stepani, that supplement company he's involved with, and try not do the same thing, try and get him in, because we really got to get to see this guy in America." But having said that, he's doing the Arnold Brazil, and I think he's absolutely incredible, and I think he'll walk away with it, and I'm excited to see fans over this side of the world really getting to see this guy, because I'm telling you what, he's a sensation. He really is. I'm enthusiastic about him as when I saw Hadi at the 2017 San Marino. I think I might have mentioned that once or twice.
Yeah. And I hope the visa situation comes through for him, because he qualified for the 22 Olympia and could not get there. I don't know how he would have done. I still think for the Olympia level, he's going to need a little bit more size to really get a good look at the Olympia. But he certainly would have belonged on that stage, and he's had another year. I have a feeling things are going to work out the way they were supposed to work out for him this year. That this Olympia, which he should get to, he's going to make a much bigger impact than he would have at the 2022 Olympia. I think the year is going to do a lot of good things for him in his physique.
I think when he wins the Arnold Brazil, and I think if he looks as good as he did, say, like the night show in Romania, I feel like he's going to be as big a talking point, like we all were, about Andrew Jacked and Crizo. I got a feeling he's at that level, because like even Milos, his coach, hasn't physically seen him on stage in the flesh. And like I said, you've got to see this guy. He's so good. And I just feel like he's the most untalked about and, under-talked about sensation in bodybuilding right now. So I'm really excited to see him go in this show.
Beirut, if you're listening through Translate or something, learn a little bit of English, just a little bit. Just, a few sentences here and there. It'll help you out a lot. Trust me.
Yeah.
I want to interview this guy eventually. It's he's definitely on the rise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Also, Ron, I got to say, mate, I think if I've got one wish, I think one of my biggest wishes is that one day we get you to the UK and I get you in my studio. How cool would that be? If you came and stayed for a few days, actually, why don't you come over and stop over for a few days when you're on the way to Australia, and we'll just film non-stop in the studio, mate. I mean, I would love that. Imagine the content we could do in that studio together. It'd be awesome, mate.
You want to check out Legends Gym? I haven't seen a really, really old school hardcore gym in a long time. It's been a very long time.
4 minutes drive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm down for it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe on the way to get hair transplants or something, I'll stop over there.
In Turkey.
Yeah, that's where we're talking about that. Not immediately, but down the line, because
My sister's there at the moment. She just had a gastric sleeve weight loss surgery. She's actually there. She had it done yesterday, and she's recovering now over there for a few days before she flies back.
Okay, yeah, Turkey, guys. Who knew? Who knew we'd be going to Turkey for medical procedures, huh? I certainly didn't. Anyway, yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up, I think, for this Power Hour, guys. The next one is going to be a very special Power Hour without me. Giles and Miguel are going to cover the Arnold Brazil preview, let you know who's going to be in that show. It should be a great event. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what's wrong with you? Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the videos. We went through a range of topics today, guys, so leave some comments. Giles and I both, we love the feedback. We interact. We answer everybody, even if you call us a meatball head or a cranky old, bitter old man like me, whatever you want to call us or whatever. Be nice, be mean. We don't care. It's all good. We'll respond to everything. And of course, notification bell there, so you know when we have great content, like every Wednesday morning. MD Global Muscle, our greatest international show of all time, of course. Thanks to Giles.
5 years.
5, yeah, wow. How many? So you do these seasons that have like 70 episodes per season or something.
It varies. I think we originally it was supposed to be 20 per season. Season 1, 2, and 3 were 20, and then season 4 went on for about 3 years. It was about, I think I lost count at 70 something, and then started season 5 when I started back, obviously last September with Neil Curry when I had him in the studio. Yeah, Jen said we're not far off 150 or 200 episodes or whatever. I think I forget the number now. But yeah, we started November 2018.
Called Global.
Yeah, November 2018. First one, Phil Heath.
MD Muscle Global Radio it was called back then, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
out there like radio. What's a radio?
That's how things have moved on, though, isn't it? Because originally, after season 1, I said, look, let's just drop the radio. I said, it's much more than a radio show. It's like a studio, because really it's the longest running studio-based podcast of its kind.
Really?
Yeah. If you think about it, actual proper studio, with a producer, and this is because I can't do it by myself. I have to have a producer, either have Derek or Lauren, so we do a great job. I think Derek's coming over this weekend because Lauren's not. I think she's away, so I've got to get Derek in this weekend. So that'll be fun. So and it's nice because Derek's kind of like a co-host then as well.
Yeah.
So
I like Derek.
Camera on him as well. It's fun. It's good fun.
If I make it over there, obviously I want to meet all these people in real life, Derek,
Yeah.
and everyone. So yeah, that's it, guys. MD Power Hour. Leave some comments below. If you have subjects, topics you want us to talk about in future episodes, let us know. We're game. We like to talk about all kinds of things here. We can both talk, Giles and I think. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching another episode of MD Power Hour with Giles, Tiger, Thomas, and me. And we'll see you right here next time. Thanks for watching. Hey, did you like that podcast? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.